is news today. In our first story, President John Dramani Mahama says recent demonstrations across the country has only strengthened his administration's resolve at tackling economic challenges. Addressing this year's activities to mark Eid al-Fitr in Kumasi, President Mahama said working people were allies of government, adding Ghana's medium-term economic prospects remains bright despite the current challenges.
We are all too aware of the short-term economic challenges that currently face us as a nation. At the same time, our nation's medium-term prospects remain very bright and positive. Several factors, both internal and external, are responsible for these challenges. As a government with a clear mandate to uphold the national interest, we have had to implement some painful but necessary measures to protect the national economy and prevent a meltdown. We have done this with determination and focus, and I assure you we will soon reap the fruits of our sacrifice. Indeed, the Holy Quran says, and I quote, "Indeed, after difficulty, there is always ease." As President, I firmly believe that with the blessings of the Almighty Allah, our patience, prayers, hard work, and sacrifices will surely produce success. Dear brothers and sisters, I have noted all the public manifestations and criticisms expressed about the state of the economy over the last several weeks. I've also noted the recent demonstration by organized labor. As a social democrat, the working people are my natural allies. I therefore treat their concerns with all the seriousness they deserve. I therefore consider the message contained in the TUC demonstration as an encouragement to work harder on matters of the economy. Your loud and clear message encourages me to continue the work I'm doing to pull our country out of the economic challenge in which we find ourselves. I currently spend a disproportionate large amount of my time on issues relating to the economy and the energy sector. As captain of the ship of state and on the bridge, I can assure you that the signs of recovery will manifest in the latter part of this year for all of us to see. There are calmer waters ahead. My dear brothers and sisters, later this week I will preside over the meeting of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Economic Recovery. This group will help me guide the implementation of measures to restore the economy to prosperity. We will work to stabilize the currency, to bring down inflation and bring down interest rates. We're on a journey to transform our economy. We must create a permanent fix that cures our cyclical loss of economic stability. We must reform our public financial management, and most of all, we must expand local production of goods and services. I've assigned tasks to my ministers emanating from my State of the Nation address, and I'm monitoring keenly the attainment of these important objectives. We're increasing investments in agriculture to increase the production of strategic commodities on which we spend a disproportionate amount of our foreign exchange. These investments are resulting in a positive increase in local rice production. Support to the poultry sector is also yielding impressive results. We are pursuing the revival of the Commander Sugar Factory to help cut down our huge import bill on sugar. We are also investing millions of cedis in local pharmaceutical companies to augment the local production of drugs here in Ghana. Initiatives in aquaculture will also create jobs and increase the supply of fish. This transformation is the surest security for the sustainable socio-economic development of our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I have every confidence that these measures will definitely begin to yield good results. We need to be optimistic and eschew any attitudes of cynicism and pessimism. With faith, determination, and hard work, we shall succeed as we apply all the knowledge and expertise we have in solving our problems.
Former First Family Jerry John Rawlings and wife Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings have extended their best wishes to all Muslims in Ghana and beyond on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr, which falls today. A statement issued by the Rawlings said your celebration today is the conclusion of a month-long sacrifice of fasting aimed at seeking Allah's strength and guidance in our daily affairs. Now, as you break your fast and congregate today, so for prayers for unity, love and peace, do remember to say a prayer for national goodwill and strength of conviction to confront the many challenges of our country. Meanwhile, the AM show earlier today, my colleague Jennifer Jane Asante engaged the National President Society of Muslim Preachers Ghana, Sheikh Ayubu Fusuhenia Sari, on the significance of the Ramadan to Muslims.
After all the prayer and the fasting is done, and you've received all the blessings, what is left for you to do? Is it something you can continue with? Is it something that you do for just that period and stop?
No, that is to usher you into that. That's the Almighty God himself said that. He said in the verses that God revealed about the fasting, he said, yeah, you will listen among, that is, oh, you who believe that is one God. He has no partner, he needs no partner. You believe that there will be judgment, there will be resurrection, and there will be paradise and hell. If you believe so, then he said, kutiba alaykum siyam kama kutiba lilazina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Sorry for that, yeah, because he said I have prescribed fasting for you as it was prescribed for those who were before you.
Okay.
All the prophets and messengers and their followers, that was done to them, so that you may attain piety, right? So
that you may attain piety.
So that you may, because the may here means it is your choice. If you believe and you act upon it, after this exercise, you have to live to expectation. The do's and don'ts, you have to be able, because the Muslim, as I'm sitting here, I will use myself as an example. I have my wife, right? And I'm allowed, Islamic law says I want to have a wife, I'm blessed. And I have the right to go to her as a wife. She has the right to come to me as a husband. And after that is at any time that we to our convenience, right? At any time. But in the month of Ramadan, there's a period of time whereby though she's legal to me as a wife, I cannot approach her. That is from dawn up to night, in the evening, sunset, after sunset. We cannot do that. You get me? That's right. So by that, if we can, I've been able to do that, practice that. My legal wife, the one I live in the same roof, I cannot go closer because of the fear and the love of God.
So you fast not only with food and liquids,
no,
but also sexual relations.
Yes, even the eye. Don't look at a lady too much. Islam hate that. You don't even think of lust. The tongue shouldn't say things that are not permitted, because the Prophet make it clear. He said if you fast, that's avoiding, abstaining from water and other drinks that the Muslims allow, that is soft one, those that don't intoxicate, and you are asked to go away from food and from your wife, and you are not able to live by expectation. If you have loose talks and you cannot do what is, he said your fast becomes nothing. You fail in that.
Well, the new patriotic party is wishing all Muslims in the country a happy Eid al-Fitr as they join more than 1 billion others around the globe to mark the end of Ramadan. Ramadan is one of the major religious obligations that every Muslim must observe. In fact, it is a period of deep supplication and renewal with Allah. In a statement signed by the party's General Secretary Kwabena Ejapon, the NPP wished to remind all Muslims that the blessings of this period must transcend unto the entire country in its trying moments. The NPP expressed the hope that all Muslims would use the occasion to strengthen the path of love for all. Well, let's talk about security on this day. Public Relations Officer of the Accra Regional Police, DSP Freeman Tete, says the service has put in place measures to ensure an incident-free Eid celebration in the region and across Ghana. Speaking to Roland Walker on the AM show, DSP Freeman Tete noted the Marine Police Unit also be on standby at the various beaches to ensure protection of lives and property.
Yes, we accept that even though it's a social, it's a religious celebration, in recent times the social aspect has actually overshadowed it. So that is why often the police all over put elaborate security arrangements in place. So that is exactly what the Accra Regional Command has been doing over the years. Not only this particular holiday, but other holidays, because the trend has always been the same. When it comes to recklessness on the road, motor racing, which is a recent phenomenon, we make sure that we make provision to curb it, as well as ensuring that people who go to the beach come home alive. We'll continue to educate them and also to the necessary measures in place. Don't forget that the police now has a marine unit in place that patrols the beaches and also ensure that it provides security at the beaches. Our visibility teams are all over, but notwithstanding that, we are also emphasizing on personal safety. We will do our part. There is a comprehensive operational order in place to take care of all security challenges that will confront every holiday, especially today's own. We know of traffic management. We know of ensuring that recklessness on the road becomes a thing of the past or does not rear its ugly head. We are also aware of people who go to the beaches, then get drunk, enter the water, and return no more. So these are all the things that we are making sure that it does not occur. Even if there will be any fatality, it should be minimal. But aside of that, we will make sure that we intensify patrols in the neighborhood as well. And we are asking the various neighborhood watch groups to ensure that they provide us with the necessary information on areas that are often subject to attack when most people step out of the neighborhood to come to the center of activity. And also, any person who is organizing a program should liaise with the police for security advice, and if it's necessary, we will provide security to assist those that you will be contracting to maintain law and order at the activity spot. So these are certain measures that we have put in place. We cannot roll out all, but they are there. And we count on the cooperation of good people of this region to assist the police so that we all maintain the needed law and order. And also to make sure, at the end of the day, to ensure that this activity pass with either no fatality or few fatalities.
Away from the celebrations, every year thousands of children in Ghana are sent to Lake Volta to a life of modern slavery in the fishing industry. Some end up as ghosts. Though there is scanty data on the situation, more than 20,000 children are believed to be working on the Volta Lake as child slaves. Ghana passed an anti-human trafficking law close to 20 years ago, but a lack of resources for the police and rights campaigners mean very little have been done to save vulnerable children who fall victim to this menace. Join News' Justice Beidou, who visited the Volta Lake, filed this report.
Lake Volta, the world's largest man-made lake, does not only provide electricity for Ghana, but also put food on the tables of many families who fish in it. But this lake, with all its rich history, is also a dungeon of modern-day slavery for thousands of children.
When we take the child, all the fishermen go and take the child to Toko for fishing. We use them for fishing because we, the others, we can go through under the water when the net is hooked there. So we send the child to go there to remove the net for us. But when they are going and then they don't remove the net, you force them to go. And then sometimes some will not come back again.
12-year-old Kofi Gilanyo was once a slave here. He's now free, but only because he broke his spine. He had a broken spine when he slipped in a canoe and knocked the seat with his chest. He comes from Adafiano, a village some 200 kilometers away from Pando.
My grandmother sold us, me and 4 brothers. She said if we don't go and work to take care of her, she would kill us when she dies.
Adafiano, a community barely 30 minutes away from Ghana's border with Togo. It's a coastal community and people here are mainly small-scale fishermen. The landscape here is very sandy. That does not support any form of farming at all. That means that people here depend mainly on the sea. Now, fishing itself is a seasonal activity, and barely any form of economic activity go on in the minor fishing season. It is in poor and vulnerable communities like this one that parents, in their desperate need to survive, sell off children to work in dangerous areas like the Volta Lake. I promised him I would look for his grandmother and tell him about his current situation. He had doubts about me finding her, but still had a message for the grandmother.
My name is Gilanyo. I come from Blekusu. I want to tell my grandmother that we are not happy the way you abandoned us to the mercy of hunger. Don't you care if we died of hunger? The way you left us is bad. That is why we won't also take care of you when we get money. Even though you took care of us till we grew up, and it will be a sin if we don't take care of you when we get money, we are also not happy the way you left us. What you did was very bad and painful.
This is Kojo. He's also 12 years old and one of the thousands of boys still on this lake working as child slaves. Children like Kojo in this small island called Wudidiada, which means when you finish eating, sleep, in Ghana's eastern region, work for 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and are given one small meal every day. But that meal is not even guaranteed. Sometimes they are denied food as a form of punishment.
What's your
chiska saying?
And I mean, to some mammy.
Hina catch you say what you chiska.
My sister.
Catch you dabbing.
Or catch them Sunday. Town no them by no, I did just Sunday no number.
No catch you saying.
Or catch them so, or tell me cheese candy me, do man me, I meant to me boss na me. Mammy and family, mammy rush, say, I went to me cheese candy, and what me cheese candy, do man me, meant to me boss na me.
Ghana passed an anti-human trafficking law in 1995, but very little has been done in enforcement. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Adafiano.
This is News Today. Let's check out some business stories. President Mahama has assured traders occupying the Kumasi Central Market that they will have stalls after the reconstruction works are completed. Addressing this year's Eid al-Fitr celebrations in Kumasi, he said current occupants of stalls would be registered and the list published in the dailies to ensure transparency during the distribution.
The Kumasi Central Market remains arguably the largest and busiest market in West Africa. I wish to express concern at the repeated fires that have occurred, leading to the huge loss of goods and property. As you may be aware, government has secured funding to build a new and modern central market here in Kumasi. Naturally, our sisters and brothers who currently occupy the market are concerned about being dispossessed of their stalls when the new market is constructed. I've asked the contractors, in conjunction with the KMA, to register every single person currently doing business in the market. This registered list will be published in the national newspapers, and the persons who will be so registered will be given the priority in allocation of space when the new market is completed.
Government has undertaken to privatize the Electricity Company of Ghana as part of a condition to access the second compact of the Millennium Challenge account worth over $500 million. It has also undertaken to adjust electricity tariffs every quarter as a condition precedent for the disbursement of the fund. We spoke with Niyama Komfra, Communications Director of the CPP, and Emmanuel Wilson, National Organizer for the People's National Convention, who both kicked against the move, arguing it will affect Ghana's economy.
The process of making the ECG, making the sector look so bad that it's ripe for privatization. Let me say that many Ghanaians, we, together with the organized labor, together with civil society group, will resist any attempt to privatize the ECG. We have to fix the system. We have to fix our economy. We have to fix our companies. We have to fix our institutions. We have to stop thinking that selling it is the option. And the surprising thing is, before MPs rose, they seem to have passed this bill, and many of them, some who were spoken to while I was on a program this weekend, did not know that this is some of the conditionalities. So do we have a parliament that understands what is passing? It's very, very frightening indeed that we have a parliament passing a law and they don't seem to understand some of the implications. And should other countries be putting conditionalities on us before, if that's the case, we should not seek the compact. We should not seek the compact if the conditionality is that there should be private sector participation. And that private sector participation means privatize ECG. We don't need to privatize ECG. We need to fix it, get the right managers in place. We have the mega wattage, but in the overall energy sector, there's a huge a list of alternatives that we can do to add to. And we as a party have already published a comprehensive process, a comprehensive list of things that we can do in the energy sector to add to the efficiency of the system.
Privatization of a very essential
strategic
institution like ECG, and no way should it be entertained by anybody as far as this country is concerned.
Why?
And I'm coming there. You see, ECG produces electricity. I mean, they distribute electricity.
Now they distribute
Yes, they distribute electricity. Now, electricity, whether we like it or not, in this current state, has become a necessity commodity. Just like air, just like water, just like energy. So has electricity become. Of course, electricity is under energy. So has electricity become. It has become something that we cannot do without. When electricity is affected, it affects individuals. It affects productivity. It affects development. It affects the nation. Such an important, integral part of human existence. We will want to put it in the hands of individuals whose priority,
or foreign companies,
extract money from even if it is internal individuals, Ghanaians, as long as they are individuals with the motive of maximizing profits or making money, it is so dangerous for the well-being of any individual.
Let's talk more about this. John Peter Mawu is Director of Policy with the Africa Center for Energy Policies. Join me over the telephone. Hello, John. John, you're welcome to the program.
Yeah. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Absolutely. Where do you stand on this?
Well, government agenda or intention of privatization, it's something that Ghanaians will need to look at holistically. What is important to realize in this sector is that there is nothing that stops government from competing with private sector in the same organization. Different agencies can equally go into competition. Now, we as African Center for Energy Policy has called on government to liberalize the energy sector. By liberalization, what we mean is that there must be a competition between ECG and any other enterprise. So we could still maintain ECG and introduce a liberalization where a competition between ECG and that company can take place. So that me sitting in my home here in Afienya can decide who I get my power from. At a supply point, I can decide to go to ECG or to go to any other competitor and get my power. A total sellout of ECG, I don't think is a welcome news to this country. Privatization just means selling out of government entities to private entities to partake. That is not exactly what we are asking for. We are asking for liberalization, which simply means that introducing more competitors into the system to compete with ECG. So if you introduce more people to undertake the same activities that ECG is undertaking, competition will bring down costs and results to be achieved at the benefit. So a total privatization, I don't think it's right for this country at this moment. But we can liberalize the system, make sure that other competitors come in and play the same role as ECG. So consumers at the benefit will decide whether they want to go to ECG or to go to John Peters' company to get power for their supply. If we do that, ECG will set up because of the mess they are doing in terms of inefficiency in cost. Distribution losses are so much. If you bring in a system that can make sure that power thefts are reduced, distribution losses are reduced, metering is reduced to a very minimum, then there will be a competition between that company and ECG.
But John,
privatization of ECG is very premature for this country now.
Here we are. This is a condition attached to the Millennium Challenge account worth over $500 million. What would you expect the government to do if it was to liberalize instead of privatize ECG?
Please don't forget, Ghana is a sovereign state. And we have rules and responsibilities as to how we control our own government. And so the alternative to whoever opted for that is to make sure that there's a liberalization. Every country in this world that have achieved a long, sufficient energy supply goes through a liberalization process before competition. You can never achieve a competition without liberalization. We saw it in UK. The process of power competition in UK was not achieved as a result of introducing competition through privatization. It was done through liberalization. And so as much we introduce a system for people to enter, then we can move ahead for competition in terms of privatization. But as it stands now, the mechanisms have not been corrected to achieve that level of competition through, privatization. So a total sellout of government entity to a private entity to handle now for Ghana, it is not premature. It's very premature. We do that if government have no confidence and government want to say, well, I have failed in my responsibility. Because don't forget, the private entity has a role and responsibility, and his major aim is profit maximization. And so this is not a time to give that element to a private entity. But this is a time to introduce more people in to compete with the government agency. I stated it over and over again that nothing stops government agencies from competing with private agencies. We can do that as a government. You can go in and compete. And that introduces some level of efficiency. But a total sell-out of ECG now to a private person to handle will end up making the consumer at the benefit paying more. Already, we are paying so much. Currency exchange differentials as a result of regular increase in tariffs is not anything that is affordable to the consumers to pay. A complete privatization will put more burdens, in the hands of my mother and my father who lives far away.
John,
that have to go.
There's something I want a bit of clarification on. ECG already operates as a distributor of power. We have the VRA doing most of the production. A point where we seem to be faced with a number of challenges. Privatizing or liberalizing only ECG, wouldn't that be just half of the problem being solved?
In fact, liberalization will partly solve the problem, because if you really look at the World Bank recommendations last year, they made a number of recommendations. One of the difficulties that we are facing as a country is as a result of the high distribution losses, both technical and issues regarding power theft and inefficiency in ECG's own mismanagement. Now, if you introduce another company to compete with ECG at that point level, for instance, you can say that, the whole of Ashanti region, is given to another company to do power supply and distribution. Okay? At that level, ECG is not concerned about that level. That private entity or whoever is responsible for that will undertake that responsibility. Then we see the level of competition. If you realize that the private sector is doing better than the government sector in terms of cost and consumers are getting a value for their money, then we can move further to say, okay, now go ahead and give Volta rigging out. Privatization of the power sector must be done gradually. It cannot be, a one-go event. It can never be done that way, and it's never happened like that.
In other words, what we are being offered, or the condition attached to the MCA, which we seem to be signing on to, would not help us at all, because then it's only asking for a PSP only in the with the distributions bit of sending power to people's homes.
No, you see, this development of project phases has to go along with a lot of negotiation and civil society's involvement. And so this decision cannot just be taken by government. It is important government communicate back to the Minimum Challenge Account or whoever is responsible that the way to do it. And government must be able to set accurate, records, set instances that the process had not just been an instantaneous privatization of the sector. It has never happened like that. Government had been able to come out with instances, demonstrate examples that liberalization leads to privatization. Then, of course, I think Americans are not so foolish. They also know how we people are suffering in this country. They will definitely understand that if a complete privatization takes place, people at the benefit, which is you and myself and my grandmother in the village, are the people who bear the politicians.
John, the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is the fact that considering this document only speaks about the Electricity Company of Ghana, which we know as a distributor of power and not a producer, then it means the signing on to the MCA as it is will not help us at all, because then we would have a lot of we'll have a privatization of the distribution bit, but then the production will remain as it is.
No. You see, the power sector, as I stated over and over again, involves generation, transmission, distribution, supply, metering. Okay? As a country, you need to decide where you start your competition from. Currently, as a country, Ghana is not doing competition at generation. All that we do is that we bring in investors, they come into the country, and we negotiate, and generators go in to generate power. That is wrong. You need to introduce competition at generation, so that if you want to construct 300 megawatts of power, you subject that quantity to competition. Because don't forget, the power price you pay at the benefit includes the tariff, which include the capital cost and the operational cost. And the capital costs include whoever comes in and generates. So if there's a competition at that generation, your level of generation costs will reduce, and that affects the price you pay at benefit. As it is now in this country, we don't do competition at generation.
And John, so the question I'm asking then is, does this MCA condition give us a complete takeover of generation as well?
No, what they are asking for now is just at the distribution end that take over the distribution for privatization.
Then my point comes in, John. The fact that we haven't tackled the problem of generation, where we have the most of the problem, and then we have moved on to distribution and want to privatize distribution, only spells doom for us, doesn't it? Because then we'll have a very competitive distribution point, but generation is still the same.
I perfectly agree with you. You see, in the power sector, agreeing where to start a competition of liberalization must be a decision of the country, and at what instances from Ghana as it is now, I agree. What we need to do now is to start competition from generation. We need to correct the messes at generation and then come down to penalty. If you look at the UK regime, what they have done was that they start competition at the supply end, because at that point, UK was already energy sufficient. There was excess supply over demand. So they could start from the supply end. Ghana, we have excess demand over supply. So we couldn't have started from, supply side. Because anything that you put into the market, if it is not sufficient, the market will buy it anyhow at a very expensive price. So you only start competition when you have excess supply over demand. as we are as a country, our supply is less, our demand is high.
Absolutely.
So there's no way we can start competition at the banner tip. I agree with you. So what we need to do is to move on to generation, make sure that we have sufficient generation capacity. Then we can come to, demand side, which is the supply end, and undertake more liberalization or competition at that end. Where we are starting from, we are starting from the bottom to top. I think we should move from the top to bottom approach.
Thank you very much, John, for your time. John Peter Amewu is Director of Policy with the Africa Center for Energy Policy. That'll be it for business. When I come back, I'll bring you. In arts and entertainment, Ghana's #1 DJ and host of Open House Party on Joy FM, DJ Black has been adjudged Africa's best DJ at the 2014 Africa Music Magazine Awards Afrima. DJ Black, born Kwejompofo, beats off stiff competition from DJ Jimmy Jats from Nigeria, DJ Exclusive also from Nigeria, DJ Joe Falm from Kenya, DJ CNDO from South Africa, DJ Cream de la Creme from Kenya, and DJ Shiru from Uganda to win the prestigious award. The 2014 Afrima came off at the Iceman Center in Texas Saturday night. African Music Magazine Awards is the sole award ceremony in the diaspora that caters for all music genres, including Afrobeats, Asiko, Bongo, Funana, Genge, High Life, Hip Life, Kwaito, Lingala, and Sukus. The awards also create a platform to promote the diversity of African music by bringing influential artists from different African countries for a night of celebration. Well, congratulations to our own DJ Black. This is News Today. And here are our top stories. President John Dramani Mahama says recent demonstrations by organized labor is helping redirect his efforts of stabilizing Ghana's economy. Convention People's Party and the People's National Convention vowed to resist moves to privatize electricity company of Ghana as part of for the holiday edition of News Today. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amana. Log on to my Joy Online for more news. Have a great holiday. Goodbye.